weeks ago, my daughter and I were on an airplane. She's only 5 years old. And as we're sitting there, we get our seatbelts on, the stewardess goes up to the front of the plane and she gives the little safety talk, and as we're waiting to go to the runway to take off, the plane starts backing out away from the gate. And we've done this. Anybody that's been on an airplane knows that this is the drill. You back out and then you start going forward and you get onto the runway so that you can take off. But my little 5-year-old daughter turned to me and she said something that was really interesting. She said, "That's really cool. Sometimes you have to go backwards before you can go forwards." Oh. I thought, wow, genius, you know? How true that is. I first realized that back in 2005 as I was preparing for the 2006 Olympic Games. I was ranked first in the world going into the 2006 Olympics. And my goals, my sights were set high. I wasn't just planning on going to the Olympics, I was planning on winning a gold medal. And at our Olympic trials that fall, just before the 2006 Olympics, I had just finished a practice run. I had just gone down the track. And the way that we get back up to the track is that we'll be sitting there waiting for a truck to come take us up to the top. So a truck comes, we get our sled, we walk into this truck, and we go, and he takes us back up to the top of the track so we can come down again. Well, we had just finished our second practice run for the day, and our day was finished. We were waiting for another girl to come down on a skeleton sled. And I remember just sitting there talking with a few of my teammates, and as we were talking, we heard a loud noise coming from behind us. And we kind of thought that was interesting. After you've been around this sport long enough, you realize that there's different sounds. A skeleton sled has a nice little hum to it. It just goes woo, but it was a lot louder than that. And we turned and we looked at the finish line, which was probably 200 meters away, 150 meters away. And when we turned to look at the finish line, we saw a 4-man bobsled coming towards us, flying at about 70 miles an hour. Now bobsleds, this was a 4-man bobsled, and they have a brakeman. And what that brakeman's job is to pull up on a handle which will drag a claw into the ice. And they can stop pretty quickly. When we turned and we looked and we saw this bobsled coming towards us, we realized that they weren't pulling those brakes. And right when I saw that coming, I took a step. There was actually a staircase behind me, just like the podium is behind me. There was a staircase behind me. And so I had to take a step to jump out of the way. And right when I did that, the bobsled hit me from behind. This was just 3 months before the Olympic Games. And I was ranked first in the world. I remember flying through the air. I did a full cartwheel through the air. And I remember landing on the asphalt. It was about 30 feet away from where I'd been hit. Immediately, I didn't know what had happened. I tried to jump to my feet, and I fell back to the ground. And I tried to jump up again to just see what had happened. I wanted to see what just hit me. I had no clue. It was kind of chaotic at the moment. And I jumped up to my feet again, and I fell back to the ground, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't run to see what had just happened. When I looked down at my leg, and my bones were sticking out of my speed suit. It was really gross. Yeah. I was in a pool of blood, and I just remember thinking, how can this happen to me? How can this happen? I'm supposed to go to the Olympics. I'm supposed to win a gold medal, and it's 3 months away. After I get to the hospital, I'm laying there ready to go in for surgery, and the doctor's like, okay, we have to give you an epidural, kind of like what you have when you have a baby. It numbs you, and you'll be out. And I said, okay, that sounds great. So I remember him going through this process, telling me that I'd be having this medication. First of all, I don't think a doctor should talk to a patient that's already not coherent about what they're about to do. But I guess I was the only one that was there to talk about it. So they gave me the medicine, and I remember I was out. And I go into surgery, and all of a sudden, I wake up. And I'm like, what is going on? And I look down, and there's 4 or 5 doctors around me. And one of them has a hammer. And they're hammering a rod into my leg. And I'm like, I couldn't feel it because I was numb, right? But I'm awake. And I'm like, I'm looking around, and the anesthesiologist starts walking by me, and I'm like, excuse me. Excuse me. I don't think I'm supposed to be awake for this. And he looks at me, and he's like, He's like, he puts the sheet over my head, and he's like, and I'm like, I can still hear you. Talking to him. So they went, and they ended up, they must have given me more medicine because I don't remember. But, all right, one of the best lessons that I've ever learned in my whole life, and all my sliding and all my education and all my life, one of the best lessons that I've ever learned happened just moments after this happened. As I was laying there, I came out of surgery, and I was in this room waiting to, see my family and have them come. They had to travel to Canada to come see me. And as I'm sitting there in this room, it finally hit me. My Olympic dream is gone. All the sacrifice, all the time, everything that I had put in to becoming and wanting to become an Olympian had vanished in a split moment, and there was nothing I could do about it. I didn't have a choice. In that moment, my choices were all taken away from me. And at that moment, I really did comprehend the extent of my injury, that I would be unable to compete in the Olympics. So a tear started coming down my cheek, and I really wasn't crying hard. It was one or two tears coming down my cheeks. And right when those tears started going down my cheeks, my doctor walked in. And she had her clipboard, and she looks down, and she looks at me, and she sees me crying. And she said, now this is the best lesson I've ever learned. She said, why are you crying? Well, first of all, I wanted to be like, you go get hit by a bobsled and see if you cry, like you go out, that happened to you, and see how you feel. And she just said, I was speechless. I couldn't believe that somebody could be so unsympathetic, to not have any feeling for for what I was going through. And she said, why are you crying? You have two choices. You can either look back and be upset and angry at what had happened to you. You can be frustrated and say, why me? You can be stuck in your sorrow and be depressed about it. Or you can choose to move forward. What happened, happened. Your leg's not going to heal by itself. You need to get to work. That was the best lesson I could have ever had. And I know, looking back, and in that moment, it seemed really rough. It just seemed like, really? You're not going to come and give me a hug and say you're sorry? Like, oh, I'm sorry this happened to you. No, she said it as it was. I had two choices to make. We always have a choice to make. No matter how bad things get, no matter how off course we get, no matter what obstacles come our way, we always have a choice. We can look back and be upset and angry that something fell through, that something didn't go the way that it was planned, or we can take it and we can look forward and say, all right, this is what it is. Now how am I going to get to here? Rechart your course. So I'm sitting here, my first day in Altenburg, Germany. My heart is pounding. I'm sweating. It's like -10 degrees outside, and I'm like dripping sweat. I'm shaking. I don't know if it's because I really am cold or if it's because I'm nervous. I'm just feeling all these different emotions. And all of a sudden, there's 3 people until I go. So the first one, this is a cute little girl from Japan, and she'd been sliding for 10 to 12 years. She's a pro, so I'm like, all right, she's got this. All right, I have 2 more people, and then I'm up. 2 more people. Okay, curve 4, curve 9, curve 7. Was there a 7 in there? A 9, a 10, and all right, just okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. All of a sudden, the announcer comes on, and he says, Achtung, Achtung. This is in Germany, right? So he's saying it in German. And in German, he says, 81, we have an 81 on the track. Now that means that the sled and the person crashed. They flipped over, and the sled has separated from the slider. And they said, Achtung, Achtung. So the ambulance had to come. She got sent to the emergency room. And I'm like, what? She's been sliding for 12 years. Oh no, okay. Okay, curve 9, curve 10. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm sitting here like all stressed about it. Then the next girl gets up. This is a girl from Canada. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be fine. I'm up after this girl. So, okay, she's gonna be okay. She's gonna be okay. Achtung, Achtung, 81 on the track. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So I'm like, oh shoot. So she gets rushed off in the ambulance. So then all of a sudden I have my teammates running up to me and they're saying, whatever you do not get in the ambulance. We don't know when we're gonna see you next, right? This is Easter you're in Germany, we do not know when you're going to see you next. I was like trying to stop it from going down, and then as it got farther and farther, I'm like, oh, I gotta go or else I'm not going to make it on. So I get onto my stomach, and I start just barely going down the track. I'm like, okay, this isn't so bad. This isn't so bad. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, I hit a wall. This is only curve 1. This is not good. So then I'm like, oh shoot, curve 2, curve 3, curve 4. I came out and I'm like, did they even say I was going to flip out of curve 3 into curve 4? I don't think that was one of the bad curves. This is already bad. This is not good. So then I'm flipping in places that I really don't even remember. It was flying by me. And when you're going 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, it's just going like this. And if you don't know where you're at, you're lost. You're lost. You just can't see it that fast. So all of a sudden I get down, I'm curve 4, I flipped onto my side, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, flipped on my back, I'm on my back, I kick my sled back over, I'm going down the track, I'm like, okay, I've made it, I'm halfway down, all of a sudden I get to curve 10, and I'm like, curve 10, what do I do in curve 10? Is it down, up, is it up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up? Oh shoot, I forgot how to steer, I forgot what I was supposed to do. So all of a sudden I go into this curve, and curve 10 is a 360. So you go in this way, and the pressures bring you up and down and up and down and up and down, and then you come out underneath where you just went in. It's really easy to get lost. It's called a kreisel, meaning circle. So I'm on my little sled going up to the roof, 5 times the ceiling, down into the belly, up to the roof, down to the belly. All of a sudden, I am sitting there into the last pressure, and I'm saying, don't hit the roof, don't hit the roof, don't hit the roof, don't hit the roof. What do you guys think I did? I hit the roof. I hit the roof hard. All of a sudden I hear, octave. I'm like, oh great, 81 on the track, 81 on the track. And all of a sudden I see it's like, like paramedics, you know, like running towards me. And I'm like, 9 Krankenwagen, 9 Krankenwagen. That was all I could say. No ambulance, no ambulance. And they're like, no, you need an ambulance. They're speaking in German. I'm speaking a little German, mostly in English. Like Jinglish or something. So then I have this huge old bump here. My arms are bleeding, my wrists are bleeding, and I'm just saying, oh no, I'm fine, I'm good. And luckily my teammate was down there, and he's all, oh yeah, she gets this all the time. She's fine, she's okay. So I didn't go in the ambulance. But luckily I got to go home to my bed that night, and everybody else was stuck in the hospital. So the moral of this story, the lesson that I learned: where you look is where you'll go. I was looking right at that wood, and I hit the wood. Where you look is where you go. Where are you looking? Where are your sights set? Do you aim high? Sometimes, like my daughter said, sometimes we have to move backwards before we can go forwards again. But sometimes, I've noticed in my own career, I've been so focused on my accomplishments that I've done, I'm looking back, that I'm not able to look forward and set my sights high. Where are we looking? So that leads me to the third lesson that I've learned.
Oh my God, I do need help.
I've got a few more, hang on.
Oh my God, wow.
Oh, hang on.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Right. I polish them all the time, as you all know. So finding success every day. It doesn't just happen. You don't just say, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know where my sights are set, but that would be cool if I ended up here. That would be cool if I ended up with a medal. That'd be awesome. You know, maybe it'll just happen. Maybe I'll just show up and I'll be the best. That'll be great. Finding success every day starts with direction. And direction, if you want to have a direction to your life, you have to start with a plan. And if you want a plan, you need to start with goals. Every single day that I compete, every single day that I train, every single day I write down goals for myself.